Hello, it's Community Manager Jeff the Rain Man Braddock here to alert you to our latest update to Battlefield 5, which comes 5 weeks after our previous update, which is slower than our prior cadence of every other week by 3 full weeks. We did this because we wanted to ensure that we wouldn't break more things than we fixed in the update, as has been par for the course with Chapter 4, aptly named Defying the Odds, because we're trying to buck our trend of ineptitude in many facets. It's also why the GM of DICE had to put out an apology statement regarding us writing checks that we couldn't cash, also known as a bounce check, because of all of the issues we've injected, which is why we let you down with underwhelming content at Gamescom. But don't worry, we pointed out that Star Wars Battlefront 2 is improving over time, so that obviously means the same applies to Battlefield 5, even though there are different teams working on it, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 couldn't go anywhere but up after the loot box fiasco, yet content updates have been constantly delayed with radio silence, so it's not exactly a glowing example of a good live service. Let's get on to the good news. There are 2 new maps with this update. Provence, that we accidentally leaked back in March, and Lofoten Islands, which are just repurposed assets from the Halvoy Firestorm map that we also released in March, 6 months ago to be exact. However, before you applaud us for finally putting these 2 new maps in the game, they're only available for small modes, Squad Conquest, and Team Deathmatch, since they were originally part of a 5v5 mode that we poured lots of resources into in spite of the Battlefield community wanting large-scale war matches with vehicles and not the same experience that they can get from other FPS games. With how poorly Incursions went in the last title, due to it releasing 1 year after launch, we here at DICE miscalculated how this would all play out in our live service buzzword excuse to ship a shell of a game with the promise of filling it later, when a competitive mode should be available when the game launches to actually get some people on board with it. Now that this mode is canceled, all of the data mine items tied to that mode specifically need to be enhanced and reworked to actually fit into the regular game, which again points to a really head-scratchingly bad design decision of having mode-only items when we've been drip-feeding slightly altered versions of knives and other cosmetics as Tides of War rewards instead of actual gameplay affecting beepity bops. So that means those items will be ready with DICE's favorite 4-letter word soon. Oh, and if you're somehow a fan of the smaller game modes, the Mercury map is now available in Squad Conquest. The other big feature that we added was we raised the arbitrary number cap that people apparently go crazy about because they need a carrot to dangle or rank to show off how much time that they've sunken into the game instead of doing actual meaningful things with their life. It's increased from 50 to 500, which was a number too low to start, and a maximum that's now 5 times greater than any other Battlefield game, because this is Battlefield 5 after all. Get it? It's a number multiplication joke. Now, on to the fixes, as we've improved the stability and gotten rid of stuttering in more cases, as well as resolving a performance issue in Firestorm when you break the armor on an enemy, because that asset notification took a lot of cycles to give you a sense of pride and, oh wait, I'm not supposed to say that phrase. Whoops. We've also done a large weapon balancing effort with improving the hipfire accuracy while jumping for pistols, SMGs, pistol carbines, bolt-action carbines, and assault rifles, as well as while moving with the enhanced grips upgrade. We've buffed the SMGs by lowering the recoil on all aside from the Sten, along with changing the ported barrel specialization to custom stock on the Suomi and M1928A1 Thompson, as well as changing recoil buffer out for enhanced grips on the MP34, so you might need to use your spreadsheet to reevaluate which upgrades you want on which guns, because the permutations are plenty. The Recon class also got a buff, as all weapons except pistol carbines got better bullet penetration, so get ready to be sniped around corners, and increase the damage on all bolt action rifles, so you can actually one snipe and one pistol someone now finally. The support class MMGs caught a nerf with increased recoil on the first few shots, so they are not like lasers, and the light melee weapons got a buff to increase the damage from 27 like Schwantz to 35 so that you could 3-swipe kill instead of 4. Joy. Now on to gadgets, as players that don't take out their protractor to properly align the trajectory of a grenade toss, you could finally get a second chance to throw back your own grenade. AP mines will no longer despawn upon death, but we've increased the volume of the trigger sound so that they're easier to avoid like people do to me normally. AT mines will now apply damage correctly after we've messed them up with previous Chapter 4 patches, almost as if this is a subset of the overall game with recent updates. We also fixed a problem we introduced with the last update with aiming down sights when resupplying ammo or meds. You're welcome for fixing something that wasn't broken before our last fix. For vehicles, Top Gunners can now take damage from infantry since we closed that bug loophole, as well as finally allowing players to customize the pilot and tanker uniforms besides female soldiers as an implicit clap back that you people call it at those having their toxic masculinity masquerade as historical accuracy. Speaking of which, soldier customization is now on a per character basis instead of a per class basis, so it's easier to fuck with our visibility improvements in order to change outfits more smoothly. We've made some parachute changes to allow you to pull the chute earlier, increased the movement so that you won't be a slowly falling duck in Airborne, the brother of sitting duck, and increased the height of a lethal fall such that you can actually yank on the ripcord and still survive. Choose life. Starting today, you could earn the Panzerbusch 39 for the Recon class, similar to the boys' AT rifle, as well as the Grind and Fortress game modes, returning with a playlist that combines both modes. With the next patch, we're going to be releasing Operation Underground early, which we said will come in October, and it essentially is, with this update scheduled to go live the last week of September, and we'll also have an update on Al Sundan into actual battlefield modes like Conquest and Breakthrough. According to leaks, there will be 4 additional weekly challenges when Operation Underground drops, including new weapons and a gadget as rewards. These weeks could be a standalone bundle without any chapter connection, so no ranks and chapter rewards, or it could be just an extension of Defying the Odds. I'm not allowed to say just yet. Week 1 will be the Jungle Carbine that became famous in the war after the one that our game is loosely themed on, with an Operation Underground focus. Week 2, the C96 Trench Carbine reuse from Battlefield 1 and a Firestorm focus. Week 3, the Madsen LMG, another easy port from our previous title, with the return of Rush. And week 4, bringing the Fliegerfaust anti-air gadget from the 5v5 mode. Oh, and there are new assets for the private games replacement for rental server program that we said is coming this month, although we haven't talked about it, similar to what we did for the now canceled 5v5 mode, so be weary just like your normal selves. Wait, what? Players are experiencing issues with higher pings to servers? Usually higher numbers are good, but not in this case. Hopefully it's just a display issue, but as you've seen with the greater than 100 damage bug, numbers clearly aren't our strong suit here at DICE, and even display problems can take a while to fix. Wait, what? The looting in Firestorm is even more of a mess than it was before? I guess we should actually start to make an essential part of a Battle Royale game not awful, but it would have helped if it was that way from the start. Well, those 2 items will now go onto our Trello board so that the community can actively track how bad we are at game development, which is why EA made David Rudder the new GM of EA Europe, who worked on FIFA games by introducing the Cash Cow Ultimate Team mode. But hey, with this new Trello board, you can actually see for yourself in real time just when we'll be implementing the monetization schemes and features that will ultimately destroy our game more than senior members of our company calling people uneducated and telling them not to buy our game.